Before we continue, if you're enjoying this story, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Stories like these remind us that kindness can change lives. And tell us in the comments, do you believe good deeds always come back to us? I stood frozen in the doorway. The homeless man from yesterday stood before us in an expensive suit, surrounded by bodyguards. Nothing made sense. Lily, however, didn't seem surprised at all. She ran up and hugged him. "It's Grandpa Cookie!" she exclaimed. The old man laughed and hugged her back. "My sweet angel," he whispered. "Thank you." I stepped forward cautiously. "Sir, I don't understand." He smiled warmly. "My name is Jonathan Sterling. Yesterday, I wasn't pretending to be poor. I was searching." "Searching?" I asked. He nodded. "For goodness." He invited us to sit inside the Rolls-Royce. I hesitated. But something about his eyes felt sincere. Inside the luxurious car, Jonathan looked at Lily with admiration. "Young lady," he said, "do you know why I was sitting alone yesterday?" Lily shook her head. "Because you were hungry?" He smiled sadly. "Not just hungry, sweetheart. Lonely." Then he turned to me. "My wife passed away 5 years ago. We never had children. Since then, I built businesses, made billions, and collected more money than I could ever spend. But none of it filled the emptiness." He paused. "So every year, on the anniversary of my wife's death, I dress in old clothes and sit on that bench." "Why?" I asked. "Because I want to remember what people value." He sighed. "Yesterday, hundreds walked by. Some looked away. Some laughed. One man even insulted me." His eyes became moist. "But then your daughter gave me the only cookie she had." He looked at Lily. "And she refused anything in return." He smiled. "That's something even money cannot buy." I felt overwhelmed. "Sir, she was only being kind." "No," he replied. "She was being extraordinary." Then Jonathan reached into his briefcase. He handed me an envelope. Inside was a check. My hands trembled. $50,000. I nearly dropped it. "No," I whispered. "This must be a mistake." "It isn't," Jonathan said kindly. "I want to help." I immediately shook my head. "We can't accept this." Lily looked confused. "Mommy, why are you crying?" Jonathan smiled. "Because your mother is proud." Then he surprised me. "Mrs. Parker, this isn't charity. It's gratitude. But I don't want you to feel obligated. If you say no, I will respect your decision." I looked at Lily. Then back at him. "Why us?" Jonathan smiled. "Because yesterday your daughter fed a stranger when she had almost nothing herself. People with hearts like hers deserve opportunities." Just then, one of his assistants approached. "Sir, we need to leave." Jonathan stood. Before entering the car, he bent down to Lily's level. "Sweetheart, would you do me a favor?" "Okay. Tomorrow is my birthday. And birthdays are lonely without family. Would you and your mommy have dinner with me?" Lily smiled. "Can we bring cookies?" Jonathan laughed so hard tears rolled down his cheeks. "Yes, sweetheart. Lots of cookies." That evening, I couldn't stop thinking about everything. Was this real? Could life actually change overnight? As I tucked Lily into bed, she smiled. "Mommy?" "Yes?" "Grandpa Cookie was sad yesterday. He needed a friend. Maybe God sent us." I kissed her forehead. Maybe he did. Neither of us knew. But someone else had been watching. Across town, a man in an expensive office stared at security footage from the bus stop. His face darkened. He slammed his fist onto his desk. No. It can't be. Jonathan Sterling found them first. He picked up his phone. Prepare the car. I'm handling this personally. And far away, Jonathan Sterling sat alone in his mansion, looking at an old photograph of a little girl. A photograph he had carried for over 30 years. Tears streamed down his face. Because deep inside, he had a feeling. A feeling that meeting Lily wasn't just coincidence. It was destiny. To be continued. If you're loving this story, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and share it with someone who believes kindness changes lives. And comment below. Who do you think the mysterious man in the office is? And why does Jonathan carry a picture of that little girl? And tell us in the comments, what is the greatest act of kindness you've ever witnessed? As Jonathan Sterling sat broken and confused in his living room, little Lily quietly stood outside the library door. She wasn't trying to eavesdrop. She had simply gone upstairs to get more cookies. But that's when she heard Richard Kane talking on the phone. It's happening exactly as planned, Richard said. By tomorrow, Sterling Industries will belong to me. Lily didn't understand everything. But she knew one thing. Richard wasn't being nice. The next morning, while Jonathan sat surrounded by lawyers and advisors, Lily tugged on his sleeve. Grandpa Cookie? Jonathan forced a smile. Yes, sweetheart? That mean man lied. Everyone stopped. What do you mean? Jonathan asked. The man in the gray suit. He was talking on the phone. He said everything was his plan. Richard Kane's face instantly changed. Jonathan looked at him. Richard? Richard laughed nervously. She's a child, Jonathan. She must have misunderstood. But Lily shook her head. No. You said, Sterling Industries will belong to me. Jonathan's attorney frowned. Mr. Sterling, perhaps we should check the security recordings. Richard's smile disappeared. Within an hour, investigators reviewed footage from the mansion. Sure enough, Richard had been recorded making secret calls. Further investigation uncovered forged documents, hidden bank accounts, and evidence that Richard himself had leaked false information to destroy Jonathan's company. Jonathan stared in disbelief. 30 years. 30 years I trusted you. Richard lowered his head. Security escorted him out. As he passed Lily, he glared at her. But she simply smiled. My mommy says lying always gets caught. Within days, the truth reached the news. Jonathan's company recovered. Investors returned. And Richard Kane was arrested. But for Jonathan, money no longer mattered. Something else had changed. For the first time in years, his mansion felt alive. Lily's laughter filled the halls. Cookies appeared in strange places. And every Sunday, he invited us for dinner. One afternoon, Jonathan asked me something unexpected. Emma, may I ask you something? Of course. What do you know about your parents? I froze. I was adopted. He looked shocked. You were? I nodded. My adoptive parents told me I was found after an accident at a carnival when I was very young. Jonathan's coffee cup slipped from his hand. What did you say? The carnival. Tears instantly filled his eyes. His voice trembled. What month? I answered. He covered his mouth. April. He stood up shaking. Emma. My daughter disappeared in April. Neither of us spoke. Days later, DNA tests were conducted. And then came the call. Jonathan Sterling broke down sobbing. His wife had been right all along. His daughter had been alive. And that daughter was me. For 30 years, he had searched. For 30 years, he had prayed. And the miracle he'd longed for arrived because an 8-year-old girl shared her last cookie with a stranger. I hugged him tightly. "Dad!" He cried harder than I had ever seen. And then he knelt before Lily. "My little angel. You didn't just give me a cookie. You gave me my family back." Lily smiled. "Can I still call you Grandpa Cookie?" He laughed through tears. "Forever." 2 years later, we converted part of Jonathan's fortune into a charity called the Cookie Foundation. It provided food, education, and homes for struggling families. Above the entrance, engraved in gold, were the words, "Kindness costs little, but can change everything." And every year, on Jonathan's birthday, hundreds of children gathered for one special tradition. They shared cookies with strangers. Because one little girl had taught the world a lesson no amount of money could buy. That love, kindness, and generosity always leave footprints in places we never expect. And as for Grandpa Cookie? He never rode anywhere without a box of chocolate chip cookies in the back seat of his Rolls-Royce. Just in case someone needed hope. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and turn on notifications for more emotional stories. And remember, sometimes the smallest act of kindness can bring the biggest miracle.